Hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of WCS Austin EU Challenger. We had a rest day yesterday, but now it's time for our final 16 as we're gonna go make our way through the bracket. 16 of Europe's best will duke it out today for $10,000 and of course that very important top 4 final ranking in Challenger, because that will give you an all-expense paid trip towards WCS Austin, but we're not there yet. You know, we're at the start of the bracket. We qualified 8 people through the ladder. We qualified 4 people at WCS Open qualifier number 1. We did number 2 as well 2 days ago. And now we are here, 16 of Europe's best. I'm Ken van der Kooi, also known as Rotterdam. And with me is Johan Mello. Todd, how excited are you for these games today?
Very excited. The bracket looks beautiful. I tweeted it earlier, and we've got a lot of good players, all of Europe's finest. A lot of Team Liquid players, a lot of Polish players who ended up being on the same side of the bracket. So there's going to be some frictions here with that. We'll see how that develops. Quite a few mirror actually in round number 1, which means we kind of get them out of the way. And then from round 2, we start seeing more of the other matchups.
Take a look at some of these matchups that we have in the top side of the bracket. Like you said, quite a few mirrors, Johan. Serol versus Stefano. That's one hell of a ZVZ to kick things off with. TLO versus Nemchar as well. 2 players that made it through the ladder qualifier, so I'm sure they played a lot against each other. Then we have our lone Terran hope, Utermal. He's going up against Drogo. And we also have a rematch of WCS 2016 Season 2 Tours.
Yeah.
Guru versus Snoot.
Round 1, the massive upset back then with Guru defeating Snoots. Kind of came out of nowhere, and ever since, I think all players have learned to really respect him and make sure they don't overlook this guy because he's very dangerous. So that's for the upper part of our winners brackets. In the lower part, we've got Showtime against DNS, another mirror. A sick PvP, actually. Like 2 of the, I would say, best ladder heroes, so to speak. Like, I mean, it kind of sounds negative like that. Like, obviously, Showtime is really good in tournaments as well in particular. But, like, 2 of the bigger ladder players that we got in this tournament there. Bly will take on Harstem. And then MaNa against Elazer is going to be our first match here on the mainstream. And then another mirror with Denver versus Nerdcho, where the French player is going to have a hell of a task ahead.
It's cool to see somebody like Denver, though, in a tournament like this. He's a guy that, obviously, if you're part of the French scene, you know who Denver is. And if you watch all the base trade tournaments, you know who Denver is. But he's not normally someone you think of as top 16 Europe. Here's Denver. So it's a big chance for him.
Maybe now he is after this. Especially if he was to beat Nerdcho, he definitely would leave his mark here on this tournament with such a result. He's been around for a while. Like back in my pro days, I think, he would come to, like, there is a tournament in my city. He would go there. It's a bring your own computer. And he would compete in it. I don't think he ever went like super far and stuff, but everybody started out like that. Like Drogo was one of the players who showed up a couple times at this tournament and never, like, I don't think he made it that far at first. The first couple times he got there, maybe like, you know, top 10, top 6. Up until the point he finally won it against me in the finals. And, and that's when he started being one of the sicker players in Europe.
That's all he needed to get the monkey off his shoulder. Be Todd on LAN. I never got there, so Drogo must feel good, right? It's really
it was
cool.
easy too for him, that finals.
I think it's super awesome as well, like you said, Todd. You look at these 16 players and you pretty much know all their stories, right? You remember the rise of them. In some cases, you remember the fall as well, but they still bounce back. You're looking at a couple of super well-established players in these days, like Snoot, Nerdcho, Showtime. You always expect him to be there. And I think to some degree, Harstem and Utermal by now as well, and even a Drogo when he's playing from Korea. But everybody has a story, and I can't wait to highlight it. And I have no idea who's going to take the final top 4 spots, which is, of course, the most important thing in this tournament. There is prize money on the line as well, $10,000 in total. First place walks away with $1,600. So that stuff is nice, and everybody will try to pick up a couple extra $100. But the most important thing here is place top 4 and get your seat into Dreamhack Austin.
Yeah, very, very important. I'm sure all of these players are eyeing these very closely. And yeah, it's a double bracket. That's the very important thing as well here. Even if you lose in the winner's bracket, you still have a shot over 2 days. I like the format, to be honest, with the playoff, like you know, the preliminaries, so to speak, with the early online qualifiers, plus the ladder. Like being able to involve the ladder in this, I think is so cool, because so many of these players, they were playing in the ladder a lot. They were doing well in it, but it didn't really feel like there was a reward, you know, out there for that. And now, on top of all the practice that they get, they actually got seeded straight into these playoffs there.
You want to make a prediction game, Todd? If you have to predict your final 4 of these sweet 16 European players.
Ooh. Let me take a look at the bracket again.
Before we're going to go ahead and jump into game number 1, as both players are ready. We're pretty much good to go. We'll be bringing you 4 best of 5s today, guys. On the main stream, we're going to do 1 match of the round of 16, 1 match of the round of 8, and then we'll do both semifinals, as those are, of course, very important. Because if you win your semifinal, well, then you guarantee top 3 in the tournament. And guaranteed top 3 in the tournament means all-paid trip to WCS Austin.
You know what? Cyril, Snoots, Showtime, and Nurcho. I really gambled on this one, didn't I?
Wow, Todd. It's so cool to have somebody next to me who's really thinking outside of the box and is willing to take a risk. It feels
Usually I'm the guy who makes ridiculous predictions.
I mean, how many Frenchies did you have there? Did you have not a single French?
Well,
wow,
man, come on. I think the best one of them right now is DNS and Drogo, but Drogo gets a turn and DNS gets Showtime, so I don't know. Like, if either of them wins in round number 1, I would say like maybe they have a serious shot, but the first match that they got here in this bracket is pretty tricky for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough bracket for the Frenchies. Tough bracket for some of these Polish guys as well, especially when they have to go up against each other here in the first round. This is almost a classic already. 2 members of Team Poland that got 2nd place at Nation Wars not too long ago. Elazer will go up against MaNa. That's going to be our very first game of the day. Todd, I'm excited.
So am I. In the left-hand side here of Honor Grounds, playing as the Red Protoss, it is Liquid's MaNa.
One of the 4 Liquid players.
25% of players in this tournament are from Team Liquid.
And eventually that team kill is going to happen and someone is going to be like, gosh, again. Todd, half the tournament is Team Liquid, but, well, quarter. Anyways. Over here in the right bottom side, a man that was overshadowed for a long time by Nurcho and MaNa. But it's safe to say that after WCS last year, he stands on his own feet. It's Elazer.
TLO, Uthermal, and Snoot on the same side of the brackets. So we might, if they all keep on winning, we're going to be seeing them play each other very quickly here in this tournament. But PvZ here on Honor Grounds, horizontal close bounce, MaNa opening with Nexus first. And the wall off at the ramp, still very standard. Definitely a little bit greedy, like you don't have to go Nexus first like you once. It felt like you used to.
You have to, Todd.
Do you?
When I play my games, I have to.
Yeah?
It's Nexus first or die trying. That's the way I roll.
I thought you just go standard gate, Nexus. You mean on this map? Or?
No, actually I do it on all maps. And you know why? Because once upon a time, I met a very wise French man and he told me a penny saved is a penny earned. So if I can go Nexus first, I will, Todd.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I don't know if it applies there. Like, you're trying to get ahead of the economy instead of saving. You know, you can't like rob a bank and be like a penny save is a penny earned.
You can always give it a go.
I don't know if it applies.
Well, MaNa got a little bit unfortunate as he scouted Elazer last here on this 4-player map, but this probe eventually does make it into the main base. And he'll see that he has to be a little bit careful because it was pool and gas before the hatchery. And whenever stuff like that happens, if your probe makes it this deep, you can obviously click on the extractor as well. You can see how much gas is to be mined. At this point, as a Protoss, Todd, I'm always on my toes, so to say. You know, there is a chance your opponent will go for a Roach Ravager. It can be a Link Flood. Could be Link Drop with this Overlord.
Very important question, though. Is it Stargate or is it Stargate?
I think it's definitely Stargate. When you go up and you scout this, I think Stargate in general is the best option you have against aggressive Zerg openings. And if you feel that your opponent can be aggressive, going for a Twilight or even going for the Robo build, I think is a little bit more risky than a Stargate.
Keep in mind, Elazer stylistically loves Banelings. He loves Baneling drops in particular. He's really good with them. He definitely slowed down a little bit with that, and I feel like that's because he probably met a lot of these top Protosses in Europe, not just MaNa and, you know, guys like Showtime. But like, if you try to do a lot of Baneling drops and somehow the defense is good enough, you can find yourself behind and, you know, dying to the counter-attack or even not having enough army to just keep up with the Protoss one. Eventually, especially against Stargate openers, which are supposed to be good against this, but it can be very tricky at times if these Overlords can sneak past.
Well, Overlord speed has finished up for Elazer, so he's going to get a good look into the main base of MaNa.
Look at that third base.
He should be able to spot. Wow. He's going to save the pocket expand. Do you know, in the old days, we sometimes had games like this on maps with a pocket expand, where Zergs would just keep on expanding forward.
Yeah, and they forgot every single time about the pocket expand, man. Like on Vani, how many times did it happen?
Vani and also Terminus. I remember a game on Terminus where somebody forgot that he had a pocket expand and he took every single base. And at one point we were like, You know, it's really time that he's going to take his pocket expand here. It's going to be an Oracle. Oracle is, of course, good defensively as well in case you have to worry about a silly amount of Zerglings. That's not the case right now. But I'm surprised to see Elazer expanding like this, though, Todd. I definitely think it's something that's quite uncommon.
I wonder if he might go for an attack there. Because like when you expand forward like this towards your opponent's third base, you can. There are timings that you can go for with Roaches, Ravagers. Obviously, Elazer is known for his great Roach Ravager attacks in production that is very consistent, that he can get ahead with. And if you're MaNa, also, like MaNa statistically in PvZ, he loves to take to High Templars and get charge loads. So if he was to go into that too fast, then he would be very exposed to a dangerous attack eventually.
He's actually researching Resonating Glaives. I'm a little bit surprised by that, just to see him go into it that fast. I mean, I wonder if he wants to be aggressive. I kind of feel that Elazer wants MaNa to be aggressive. Maybe MaNa's just going to use it defensively. A couple of Links going to jump on top of this probe, but there aren't enough Links to force a cancel on this Nexus for now.
Yeah, +1 melee on the way. Baneling Nest as well. I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing some Baneling drops here in those middle lines. Because MaNa didn't open Phoenixes, by the way, this is a whole lot more dangerous. You're supposed to have a pack of Phoenixes or even... I guess one Void Ray is going to help, but that guy does not really keep up very well with a lot of Overlords with Pneumatized Carapace and on the map usually.
Oh, 2 more Stargates being wiped in the back of the main base of MaNa. It's going
Mass
to be
Phoenix?
I think eventually Carrier, maybe Mass Oracle actually, as he's getting another Oracle as well. I mean, we've seen Neve do it quite a few times, right? As this one Oracle in the main is trying to find some openings.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about this is that Elazer scouted the Twilight Council, so right now he's like, oh god, he's going Resonating Glaives. There's probably going to be an Adept follow-up. He made a ton of Ling and Bane. For so far, not much. There is no Walker leads, so this might trigger an attack from Elazer. We've got the Roach Run on the way now. Lair as well starts now. If he goes for a Nidus, it will be a very late one. It still could be very deadly. We've seen Nidus and Queens, though, falling very rapidly to Oracles when they were in higher numbers.
And this is going to be quite wild. I mean, the few gateways that MaNa is working with, he does have 3 gateways. It's still going to allow him to be a little bit safe. He's going to lose that Zealot. He's going to see the amount of Zerglings here. But the Oracle has a lot of energy and can really start picking off a couple of these Banes. I wouldn't mind it at all. Instead, we see a Revelation. 3 more Oracles on the way. So it's going to be Oracles against maybe just a silly amount of Queens and then Link Bane. Elazer is definitely going to be aggressive, though.
Yeah, he's going forward with Queens and Creep Tumors right now. You might want to save a little bit more energy here on these guys. I don't think you need that many Tumors in that location there. The Oracle staying well hidden, and MaNa actually fixed his Chrono Boost problem. For the longest time, he wasn't Chrono Boosting out Stargates number 2 and 3. Now he's doing that. Getting a ton of Adepts on the ground. And from there, if you're MaNa, I think you add production facilities. You make sure you don't over-make probes. And I do think that if Elazer attacks, MaNa should be able to handle that correctly as long as he doesn't overextend and those Banelings don't blow everything up at once.
There is an Infestation Pit morphing in the main base of Elazer. He's also getting +2. He's finally going to morph. Actually, he's just an Overseer for now. This Void Ray has been doing his absolute best. The Overseer does get the confirmation that there are 7 or 8 Oracles into the main. So at least Elazer knows what he's up against. And are we going to see Infestus start, or is he just going to go Hive, you think?
I think Infestus will be a good idea here, especially with the army that he has. If he can hold units in place, then these Banelings will blow everything up on the ground. Quints will deal with the air very well. Even if he gets a couple Ravagers too. Corrosive Bites could land. Adepts are going to go forward.
So risky, by the way.
He cleaned up a bunch of the tumors in the middle of the map, but missed the rest, actually. There were some that were past the Revelation.
Yeah, we all know that Oracle detection is not what it used to be. Don't we all miss Envision at least a little bit, Todd, when DTs walk into our base? I know I do. It's kind of a bizarre attack. I mean, with
these Adepts.
Yeah, the Oracles can show up, but the Oracles are going to be way too late, and all the Adepts will just die.
Yeah, but the Oracle's getting the big engagement on the left-hand side. Is there enough here? These Queens go down super fast, but the Spores clean up some of these Oracles. There's going to be 2 left over a little bit below this.
Doesn't seem like enough, though. I mean, 5 Oracles in the end do survive, but one of them didn't have any energy. I don't think that was good at all. And look at all these Zerglings on the other side of the map. I mean, it's playable for MaNa because, of course, he can still add on plenty of other Oracles, and he did reset the Queen count.
First couple Infestors are out. They don't have Pathogen Glands, so they're not going to start with a Fungal there. And Elazer, you want to hide that as much as possible. Oh, he walks next to them with the revealed Zerglings. Not a good idea here. I think, MaNa knows. He can spot right now the 2 Infestors with the vision from those Zerglings being revealed. So A little bit of a mess up. Charge is going to start with 2 more gateways, so MaNa ready to transition. And to be honest, MaNa doesn't have to be that aggressive, I think. If he was just to take a 4th base, he would be fine, but maybe he's a little bit intimidated by the economy of Elazer right now.
And also all the creep. I think that just always makes you feel super uncomfortable, knowing that creep is pretty much at your front door. Just shades onto a whole bunch of Bailings, a couple of good fungals as well. And with the corrosive balls, he should be able to pick off these oracles. I really don't think this is ever going to be a good fight on creep, even though no matter how annoying these oracles will be, I have the feeling that Elazer should be able to get enough units out. Oh, that's a good fungal on top of the spores.
Spores are going to clean up there. Most of the oracles have died. He's going to be left over with just a single one escaping and no energy on that one.
So hard. The deeper you go onto creep, the harder it gets, because you don't have direct reinforcements, since there was no robo, so there is no warp prism, there is no pylon nearby, and then you suddenly don't have to just fight against the units that were there, but also static defenses, the reinforcements coming from every single hatchery. Now MaNa is going to get a fleet beacon, but this would have looked a whole lot more promising if he didn't have lost, I think, 13 oracles by now. Yeah, that's...
And Elazer fully realizes how much gas he's got, because he went into 6 gases pretty quickly. He's like, I have a lot of gas. You know what? I'm just going to make a ton more infestors, go forward with my weird composition, get a couple static defense with the spores, and just go and kill this guy before he can get to Kairos or do some sort of transition that will be hard to deal with.
The Adept Shades will complete, but a Fungo will be able to trap a couple of them. The Link should be able to clean it up. Of course, these Adepts will still get a little bit of work done, as a couple of drones do go down.
What's the argument for taking the middle base right now that you're looking at over the Pocket expansion?
I don't know, wants to keep it simple. Maybe easier to defend against Oracles.
Because I think he's going to take the gold next as well. Like, he just cleaned the debris there, and he just started a hatchery here, did Elazer.
I mean, since Queens are kind of slow, I guess it's just to keep the bases...
Oh, he's getting a cancel on the left.
Close to each other. Yeah, Zealot's gonna try to save the day. Oracle should actually save it, but all these infestors, they could land another Fungo, and there's a couple of Ravages still in the mix as well.
Yeah, they're not revealed right now.
Oh, but a ship core tot with 200 energy, or almost 200 energy.
That is not good. Probes are gonna try to evacuate that base. There's really not that much ground here, except for these Zealots from MaNa that are gonna die very quickly, and Queens are gonna be left over to clean up everything. GG. Elazer with a convincing game number 1, solid enough against the Mass Oracle.
Even using a little bit of Neuroparasite towards the end, picking off a couple of those Void Rays. I think it's always kind of cool when you see Void Rays fighting for the Zerg. Yeah, well done. Just a very solid game.
It's cool, isn't it?
I mean, it's cool if you're not in the game.
Our brothers turn against us.
It's cool if you're not in the game. And if I'm not in the game and those are not my Void Rays, I always appreciate some good Zerg spellcasting. Well done, solid game by him. I'm not the biggest fan of MaNa's build though, Todd. Like, I understand it's difficult, you know, on the ground's close position. Yeah. The creep is always coming towards you. So I think he was thinking outside of the box a little bit as well, but that didn't seem like a build that MaNa felt incredibly comfortable with.
It's similar to what we saw in the past from Haz, with a ton of oracles, except Haz usually doesn't get much ground with it, and just goes up to like 5-6 targets and keeps on massing oracles before eventually doing maybe a Kaya transition.
And he has 2 hidden bases as well, that helps.
Yeah. And also he tricked the Zerg somewhere. Okay, actually it's completely different. Yeah. And find a way to do a lot of damage before.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind the Oracle playstyle. I do think it's kind of cool. And the first fight wasn't actually that bad when he just went for the Queens. But I think after that, MaNa got a little too overeager. He's like, I picked off most of the Queens. Now maybe I can jump on top of the last Spore. And then lost 1 more Oracle. And then by the time he came back, there was a Fungo on top of 2 Spores. And Oracles are pretty damn expensive. You can't lose them like that.
MaNa is going to have to do something different. I would have liked to see some Phoenixes here, maybe, I think, against this.
Yeah.
Like, you can get some good map control, like you mentioned, Phoenixes really against this build being good, and then, you know, you could have gone into a 4th base earlier. Sometimes being aggressive against Zerg, it looks like it's completely wrong, but in other games, it looks like that's what you need to do, because you can't let the Zerg drone up as much as he wants to. So maybe some more fakes might help, because now, for the most part, Elazer was ready all the time for these attacks.
To play devil's advocate a little bit there, I think one of the reasons why he would feel afraid to go Phoenixes in a situation like this is that he would feel he can never secure a 4th base, and even has to worry about keeping his 3rd base alive, because, you know, going up against all the Links and the Banes, Phoenix is not the most useful unit ever, and we know Zergs like Elazer is like truly the swarm. You know, there's so much on the ground. Phoenixes are pretty expensive, and then you're gonna often end up with like, hey, I've got 10 adepts with resonating glaives, and then the entire screen gets flooded by Links. You're like, well, Phoenix has got some lifting to do, Todd. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons why he was a little afraid, and he felt the Oracles will at least keep me safe as well.
Keep in mind, it's a best of 5, so in the best of 3, I feel like it would be much worse. Like MaNa would have no room left for mistakes, whereas here he's got quite a few maps here to try and get back in this.
And our second map is going to be played on Newkirk, not City, just Precinct.
Oh, yeah.
Over here on the right bottom side, looking at the main base of our Red Protoss, he made a tweet that he wasn't too happy with his play in the open qualifiers, but he said the final result matters. Let's get to practice. It's MaNa. Would be great for MaNa to have another successful run. As over here in the left bottom side, of course, MaNa's opponent, Polish as well. A man who had an absolutely fantastic 2016. 2017 started off a little slow, but we're not even halfway through, so perhaps he can pick it up. It's Elazer.
Do you know how much money MaNa has earned in his career?
Yeah, because we did a guessing game about that the other day. It's 167,000.
Yeah, that's pretty good number. But Elazer, remember he had a hell of a year last year. His total earning is 85. 65 of that was last year, so he had a pretty good year. Not a TY year, but well, definitely a pretty good one.
We can't all have TY years, Todd.
Yeah. No, not even TY. I think in the future he might have
If that's the case,
years.
I drop the mic and I start playing Ladder tonight.
TY is another machine right now.
Hatch. More than halfway done, followed up by the spawning pool, so this time Elazer not necessarily going to be aggressive. MaNa on the other end went once again for Nexus before Gate. Actually, even doing that on Newkirk, Todd, like doing it on undergrounds, I don't really mind that much. Doing it on Newkirk, I think it's a tiny bit risky.
I thought you said you do it on every map.
I do, but I never claimed it to be good.
Hey, if MaNa does it, you've got a justification now.
That's true. I mean, he did scout as well after Pylon, so he knew he could have switched it up. But there are some openings in which you are forced to react in a certain way after you went Nexus first.
What does that pylon tell you in the back of the main mineral line?
Twilight.
Yeah?
I think MaNa's gonna go back to the roots. I think he
Cancel Zealot or not?
No.
Nope.
I think having a Zealot in a wall is very nice.
Then maybe it makes it more likely he goes for a Stalker to deny a scout on whatever it is, yeah. So it's gonna be a Stalker to try and snipe whatever Overlord is there, so that in the back of his main base maybe he can hide tech or at least force an Overlord to fly there and then snipe it.
Twilight or Stargate? Twilight. Never lucky. It's going to be a Stargate once again.
Absolute corner of his base there.
But I don't think the Stalker is going to be in time to deny his Overlord from scouting. And I think
he can kill it after though, for sure.
Do you feel that Elazer in general is happy going up against Stargate? I feel like that's something he prefers rather than the traditional Archon drop by he has to go up against Storm and Immortals. I think that's something that Elazer strongly dislikes.
I think, yeah, last game though, he was really ready on the ground in terms of getting enough links, enough paints. But maybe you're right. There are Zergs that feel like they're just so comfortable against Stargate. Like remember like Stefano in the old days, like anytime somebody would go Stargate against, unless your name was MC, you shouldn't go Stargate against Stefano because he's just gonna mass and kill you pretty easily.
I'm really curious about Stefano's run as well in this tournament. Going up against Saro in the first run, I think that's one of the toughest draws that he could have had. But his ZVZ looked good in the qualifier, especially in that last match that we saw against Zanster. So let's see. Just a lot of fun names there. Of course, if Utermo advances, there's a very good chance that we're going to catch Utermo in the next round. Because, hey, we don't have that many Terrans. But yeah, if we could have gone with Utermo against Drogo in the first round, but Drogo is currently playing his matches from Korea. And I always feel whenever you pick a match like that, it's important to mention over and over again that Drogo is playing from Korea. And, you know, that kind of just takes it away for Utermo as well. So
some of these games, by the way, guys, going on other streams. So make sure to check out some of these guys. We've got Tech TV, Emil, Wardy, Indy, a whole lot of streams.
All the Passion Lords are basically here.
What? There's 3 Polish streams. Wow, okay, well.
Well, there's a lot of Polish players.
Yeah, I guess. I hope they're not all in the same game. That would be quite counterproductive.
I'm sure one of them is at least in a Nurture game. Everybody wants to see Nurture. I kind of missed the Oracle guys. I apologize. And I was able to find 2 drones and was able to pick up 1 more. But it wasn't for nothing, Todd. It took a lot of real damage already. So MaNa's going to have to back off for just a little bit. as Elazer is going to produce 22 Zerglings, +1 is more than halfway done as well. But this seems like a pretty well-protected base, especially as long as the Oracle is alive.
Yeah, a ton of links now on the way. Walker count about even. And Elazer, it looks like might want to be aggressive here with this, with the +1. I love when Zergs do this and they get a macro hatch pretty early after being well set up on 3 bases. Regardless of whether you want to be aggressive, like it's better than, you know, being busy. Like obviously, like the best thing you can do is not miss a single inject and spend your money well, but having that extra hatchery, it's not like a massive investment, 300 minerals, and then you make sure that you're going to be able to produce enough.
I like this thought. Just a couple of links are going to jump on top of these probes and actually taking down 2 workers, almost 3, but more importantly, force out a photon overcharge as well.
Oh, the Oracle.
So don't forget that if Elazer cleans up all these adepts, there is a chance that he might counterattack.
Taking down the debris was huge as well, because now these adepts cannot come through there. They're going to be spotted quite easily in a second. Elazer, yeah, he has vision on some of them, so I think he's going to move in position to defend against that.
Yeah, and that also means that if MaNa wants to shade there, then he's totally committed. He's going to shade for the natural instead. Lynx will try to get the wraparound. +1 is done. So a couple of... I think he's going to cancel the shade, right? No, he's going to let it finish. Wow. He's going to stand on top of the ramp, but the Lynx get the wraparound. Couple of decent bailing connections, I felt like he could have gone for it immediately on the ramp. Those were 3 adepts.
I'm a little bit surprised by Elazer. Behind this, usually you see Zerg droning up crazily, but no. He's getting a ton of units. 18 more Zerglings, morphing more Banelings. Maybe he's afraid there is some sort of other wave coming, because look, he's only making Zerglings, and Ro16 is about to finish. He might want to go for a huge timing.
But he is on 61 drones, on 3 bases though, so I guess making more drones before you have your 4.
Last I checked, 61 is not 85, Roddy.
I mean, he has decent saturation, and he has +2 on the way now as well. That was a beautiful hold by Elazer. It's really scary to see how good all the Zergs got in defending any sort of resonating glaives push. Whether it's straight glaives opening or it's an Oracle into resonating glaives. I just feel like they always have the right amount of units and actually don't hurt their own economy all that much.
Infestation Pit going down for Elazer quite quickly here behind this after starting +2 melee. On the other side, we've got Templar Archives, which usually from MaNa a lot of the time means that he's going to be going for Storm, with which he's really good. One of the best guys that I've seen at playing this style against Zerg, of getting to high Templars fairly quickly, regardless of the opener.
7 years of experience starts storming people in StarCraft 2.
They've changed the whole, even in Brood War. They've changed a whole lot since then, though.
MaNa has been around for a long time. He's going to try to maybe jump on one of these high Templars. He's got +1, so it's going to be a little bit easier.
Oh, and he forces an Archon.
Yeah. And
he gets the other Templar. Wow. So there's not going to be any Storm anytime. That's huge. 4 high Templars could have had Storm here as soon as that finished, but instead he's going to have to warp in new ones.
Where's the mothership for? That was kind of lazy, no? He was over here, no? Oh, he's just going to force this one to morph into an Archon as well.
Swarm hosts. 10 of them, whole 10 of them. In these positions, or like rather on this map, we've seen it come out at times and do pretty well, especially if you are as good as Elazer at making just enough units on the ground that if Protoss eventually loses patience and attacks into you, you're gonna have enough Banelings and all that. We've seen Protosses also at times being very patient and dealing with it really well, but in this case, like we just talked about the 4 high Templars dying, that's gonna be huge.
Yep, especially without a Robo base, so no access to Colossus over here. I'm a little bit worried for MaNa, actually quite worried. Even though Elazer's fort was late and just now he started to saturate it, he has done a phenomenal job in defending against all the adepts. And I like the Swarm most a lot against this composition. I mean, we saw him use it, of course, at BlizzCon, WCS Grand Finals last year. King Sejong Station against Showtime, a very famous build and map, and I mean, he looked great with it. And I actually think that he's going to do pretty damn great with it this time as well. Photon Overcharge will go down, but these units, they're all free. Yeah. Cannons will get picked up, maybe a few probes. If they go for the Nexus, there is a chance they'll get it. I actually believe that they might get it, though. It's going to be close.
Not using his units. They're standing idle next to this. He's pulling probes to try and block something.
Whew. 100 HP left.
And he's not even getting in position here for the next wave that are going to be coming very, very soon. So I think that Nexus most likely going to die.
Yep, unless he uses the Archons maybe to snipe them, but Elazer is obviously not going to land them yet. Ah, good job by the Archons. The Nexus is going to fall. 2 Locusts. Oh my God. It's 71.
That was sick.
But at the same time,
now build a city around your Nexus.
I mean, once again, it's not really getting a whole lot of shields, and the next wave is already coming again. I think MaNa also knows what time it is. Can he deal? Is he gonna storm it? No. He's gonna storm. It's not gonna work.
He has a choice.
The Nexus. Oh! What? This Nexus just won't die, Todd. I actually really want to see it die now. I'm getting frustrated over here.
Defense of the Nexus is there here so far.
I have declared it dead like 3 times. And now the first Colossus is actually on the way.
And it's really good by MaNa to have tagged this Swarmhost as well, because now he can get perfectly in position to make sure he stops this wave from doing damage. MaNa being patient, you know, like I talked about. Sure, we got Elazer going up to a 5th base right now, but MaNa's on 4 bases. He's got his Colossus tech on the way.
Ooh, Bailing's getting awfully close to a couple of High Templars, but not close enough.
Elazer is like, how many armies do I have to lose to get this Nexus?
He's quite
He's
rich
gonna go for the other one though at the top. Sharking around. These guys are gonna land. A ton of damage to everything there.
That's still a good trade for Elazer though. It's just a couple of locusts for a cannon, a Narco, and a whole bunch of adepts. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, MaNa's moving forward. The thing is though, Todd, I think Elazer can make like world's biggest Muta switch. He can also go up to Broodlords, but I actually think Blink is on the way. I think Broodlords is probably better than, yeah. Don't want to go Mutas if Blink is already more than halfway done, and even +2 has finished up.
And +3 actually is probably going to be done by this time. So double Colossus production, MaNa kind of being forced of playing a really passive game there, getting cannons. Oh, the Nexus! He keeps on going for it, but not quite getting it. This could change though in a second.
This is it. Finally!
It's like, it feels like it's not worth it, but in the meantime, Elazer's on 5 bases. So it's great to even kill a Nexus like this, because now the economy of MaNa has been weakened. Maxing out is going to be that much harder for him all of a sudden.
And how is MaNa supposed to attack Elazer before the Broodlords are out? Like, how are you supposed to step on creep, knowing that Banelings can roll in from every angle? Banelings having +2 as well, soon perhaps +3 even. MaNa, I mean, Elazer is looking really good so far in this series, though. He's playing 2 completely different playstyles so far. But he's making this work, and this looks like a nightmare to go up against.
I'm surprised MaNa doesn't want to. He's so reluctant to engage into this, especially when he kills on. He keeps on killing huge waves of Banelings like this. Even after Locust, like after this wave is gone, he should maybe just go for it.
I think it's just a creep that's scaring him. If you take a look at MaNa's map vision, the only thing he sees is just units coming in from every angle.
Probes dying. Elazer still maxed out with the bank building up. Any trade he can get here is good, especially if he's just Zerglings like this, dying off, now going for Corruptors. And +3 melee is finishing. Not only those Links and Banes are going to be dangerous, but Brood Links eventually will benefit from this as well.
Yep, I mean, the Great Aspire is done. He's even getting +1 on the Great Aspire. Still being annoying with a couple of Links. Actually using Burrow as well. MaNa doesn't have an Observer in place. Does he have any ops? Yeah, he does. It's in the middle of the map as he's cleaning up some of these Crypto Waves. I feel right now, if I'm MaNa, well, MaNa has no money at all, Todd. MaNa's so broke.
Yeah, started losing a lot of probes, losing Nexuses as well.
But he gets a whole bunch of the Swarmos in the middle of the map, and that's actually pretty big.
I think he's going for it. He's lost enough probes, he's lost enough time and patience, and he's got a War Prism right behind this to try and reinforce with. And very smartly, Elazer will pull back and evacuate that base. Yeah. Look at how many Banelings and Broodlords are morphing. Like the power spike in that Zerg army in a second is going to be absolutely insane.
MaNa's actually morphing his mothership.
I think it just should mass units across the map.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
Get enough on the ground to force these Banelings to detonate, and then reinforce with Stalkers and try and snipe the Broodlords. He's got he's got 4 Colossi and quite a few High Templars ready to storm here.
Only 2 High Templars in the main army. I mean, he does have, I think, 2 storms on each, so he has 4 storms total, which is decent.
Locust across the map is gonna fly in and keep MaNa busy. That one base.
Got so many probes.
Needs to save it yet again.
Oh, he's gonna have to hurry up if he wants to save it. Colossus with +3 actually take care of this.
The Protoss Nightmare is about to happen on that 4th base as well. Mothership not quite morphed, but then you wanna use Overcharge.
Cancel it.
Oh no! He was like 80%.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the sickest. He blinks forward. MaNa trying to catch some of these Broodlords, but Banelings are gonna roll in and clean everything up. Might have been overeager here. Let's see if he can win that fight. There is just so many Broodlords left over, and Corrosive Bite are gonna land on top of a lot of these units.
If MaNa had money to wipe in like 10 Stalkers now, he could clean everything up, but the Stalker count is so incredibly low. A couple of Queens are gonna show up as well. Feedbacks could land. That's exactly what MaNa tries to do. But it's just so few anti-air, Todd. It's only 2 Archons and 2 Stalkers. But MaNa's actually sort of...
And 1 Phoenix.
Well, it helps. Every little bit helps right now, but the Archon falls as well, and in the end, MaNa realizes he does not have enough anti-air there to take care of those brutes, and after all the economic damage he took, it's 2-0 Elazer, just like that.
MaNa is going to have a crazy comeback here to somehow win this series. Again, it's a best of 5. Elazer looking good, and MaNa, I don't even think he played bad or anything. Like, he had a lot of 6 saves on that Nexus. It's just that it's very hard to be perfectly sound in defense and, you know, stay this passive against Zerg. First game, he attacks, Elazer defends perfectly. Yeah. Second game, he's like, you know what, I'm going to play a little bit more slow. Elazer is the one attacking perfectly and doing damage everywhere. I
mean, a lot of it goes back towards the first attack, right, with the adepts. I feel like if a Zerg is not going up to 4 bases, it's often better to keep those adepts alive and just try to keep shading around. Maybe you can deny the creep. And as long as you can deny the fort, well, it's not a dream, but it's often better than shading all your adepts somewhere and just losing them to Lings and Banes, because that is exactly what the Zerg wants. And from that point on, as Protoss, all you can do is just sit back and defend. And even though, indeed, he was doing a really good job in that, that's just often not enough. You need some map presence on the other side of the map as well. You know, you need to get some damage done. And no drones died, like ever.
Usually when no drones die and you're being aggressive, it's not going very well for you as Protoss. Elazer, though, he's always been quite good against Protoss. One of the main practice partners of T-Drogo for the longest time, who also was a beast in PvZ. Beat Showtime at BlizzCon in quarterfinals. Doesn't really get any better than that. Well, I guess he could have been in stats and all these guys, but...
yeah. I mean, making it to semifinals, I think we're all pretty proud of Elazer for that one. Some updates from some of the other games. Uterma has taken a 2-0 lead over Drogo, so the only Terran in the tournament, guys. He's going strong. And Showtime has also taken a 1-0 lead over DNS. That's all I know. And if we have any other updates, we'll, of course, let you guys know. It's fun, man. I feel like a news reporter over here. Just taking a look at all these scores. Yeah, I actually think it's super fun.
Rocky here live from Cologne.
I mean, in my dream world, I don't have one screen in front of me, but I've got 9, and I can watch all 9 games at once and cast one. And then in the middle, I can like switch over and cast every single game by myself.
That's the sickest. Solo cast
in,
as well, right?
In 10 years from no, you're always welcome.
All right, thank you.
Come on. Alrighty, we are ready for game number 3. Here, WCS Austin EU Challenger, round of 16 matchup between these two excellent Polish players. Over here on the left top side, the main base of the man who's down 0-2. He needs to turn it around. It's MaNa.
And his opponent, playing as the Blue Zerg. Opponent as well, it is Elazer.
Two pretty different playstyles and openings coming out of Elazer in game 1 and 2, but he looked very sharp with both of them. And I like the swarm host on Newkirk. You said it as well. I mean, those spawning positions, obviously they're the only spawning positions possible. But with the way that these bases work and how close you often are towards each other the moment that both players are up to 3 bases, swarm hosts can be pretty damn excellent and make it really hard for Protoss to ever be very aggressive.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if you look at how MaNa played it, what mistakes would you say were game-losing mistakes?
I think the adepts, giving away all the adepts early on, I think that was
after that, I mean. Because like from the moment he started defending the Nexus, I thought he was actually in an okay position. It's just like he started taking damage eventually, even though he was getting ready for all these attacks.
I think some people would say that they would have loved to see a War Prism maybe, and at least try to get something done, because then if you pull the Zerg out of position, then he can actually move forward and maybe deny the fort. But as long as you just defend, eventually, you know, that felt like that campaign mission that eventually you'll be overrun because there is just too much Zerg. And that's just kind of what happened there.
It's only a matter of time, man.
Look at where Elazer... Do you think he's going to be cheeky with maybe some Roach Ravager here or Ling Bane?
Possibly. Remember, he's up 2-0 here, so he has some room, some leeway to try something special if he wants to. You have to commend Elazer, though, on the way he played it last game. Like, he was very clean. You know, all the transitions were there properly. He evacuated the one base against the one scary counterattack that MaNa was going to go for. Got the right composition.
Still mining a lot of gas, Todd, while speed is already on the way. What's it gonna be? Elazer, are you gonna throw down a Roach Warren, perhaps? Are you gonna throw down a Baning Nest, or is it just for Overlord speed? Something that we know that he's quite fond of. But I think on Abyssal, in general, when the Zerg players take this base, especially when they weren't pylon blocked, well, it's just Overlord speed for now. They tend to be aggressive. Not always, but often.
Was that probe spotted? Because there's like a queen nearby. The probe can see the queen, but the queen cannot see the probe.
It's the binoculars upgrade, Todd.
Where is that cannon rush above the cliff of the mineral line?
If this was a Wiedemann's game, you know, that this entire mineral line, it's like the moment that your first drone goes
or
there.
has cannon rush that cliff into proxy carriers.
Yeah.
What's up now?
Like if this was Haas indeed, like he would start cannoning here, take this base, and get carriers over here.
That's sick, actually. Can you imagine if you pull it off? Except if the opponent makes one overlord like now and it comes out.
Yeah, it pops. It's like, oh,
he sees it.
There's an entire Protoss city over there. Resonating Glaives already on the way and being chrono boosted out from MaNa. He's also getting a relatively early robo, Todd. We could be seeing some gateway madness here with a lot of adapts.
Yeah, especially MaNa. Like in the past, he's had some trouble in different matchups. At first, he was Zerg. As of late, during Nation Wars, he was more vocal about struggling versus Terran. But when he starts losing and doing bad, it doesn't surprise me if he starts going for more and more aggressive stuff. In this case, though, it's perfectly scouted by Elazer.
Oh.
So smart to be going for Numatized Carapace. You mentioned it on this map. Can be really good to go for some of these Zerglings drops. Guess what? MaNa is completely not ready for this.
Everything is out of position. This is super frustrating. Warp Gate is not ready yet. This is gonna hurt a lot for MaNa as he ends up losing 3, 4, 5 probes immediately. If you just fight this with probes, you're gonna end up losing 10 or something. That was disastrous, Todd. A lot of dead probes already.
I feel like he almost might just step out here from there. When you lose this many probes, it's gonna be really, really hard. But he's down 0-2 here.
12. Ouch. Well, I guess 11 because one of them died on the other side of the map. But that's disastrous. That's the last thing you ever want to see happen.
If he wasn't going to all in before, and he definitely is now, I think. 31 probes to 42 drones. Obviously, MaNa cannot see these numbers, but usually when you just lost this many probes, you know that Zerg across the map has a way better economy than yours.
Yep. MaNa is going to try to bring it back with a couple of adapts on the other side of the map. These adapts do have Resonating Glaives, but it's safe to say that MaNa needs to kill at least 10 workers in the next minute in this game. Otherwise, this game is absolutely going to spiral out of control. And we could very well be looking at a 3-0 victory for Elazer.
These links again dropping. It is natural. It's being super annoying here. That one overlord, the pylon on the third base of MaNa is going to get sniped.
No pickup range. Pick up. MaNa, pick up. What's MaNa? Wow, he just lost so many adepts there, Todd. Oh, so, with so many, I mean 3, but I felt that he could have done some more Prism Micro, perhaps.
Well, considering he has 4 left over, that was a huge part of MaNa's small army right now.
Oh, these drones are not doing anything, though. Elazer, you've got to work elite. Okay, there you go. Well, now everything is back to normal, and Elazer is definitely... I think Elazer is going to bring
Links
queens.
are going to sneak in inside of his base.
Oh my god. He's going to bring queens to the other side of the map as well. Elazer feels like he's far enough ahead. He's going to pick up a couple of queens, and he's just going to queen Ling rush MaNa. I mean, it's not super necessary. Maybe he's just going to go for some Baneling drops. That's possible as well.
Elazer might be smelling blood in the water. We're on Abyssal Wave. See what I did there?
Underwater. He's a shark, Todd. A literal shark.
Sharking around.
So what is he going to do with all these drop loads that he morphed over here? Well, he's actually going to go up to a layer now. Maybe he was hoping that MaNa was going to go up to 3 bases a little more, or a little faster, and trying to be a little more greedy. Double Stargate is going to be the follow-up for our Polish Protoss. But it's going to be hard, and that's not going to help him against all these links, and that's going to make it even harder against these queens that could potentially be transferred to the other side of the map. With
Carapace, especially, like if Elazer spots this very soon, he could very easily go for Hydralisk Den as soon as Lair finishes and be in a fantastic position to just get a ton of Hydralisks and finish this at depths here. Gonna be called. He actually recalls, and that third base is gonna be cancelled.
Absolutely disastrous series for MaNa. There's just no other way to put it. Everything is going wrong in game number 3 as well. Lost so many workers already. Now can't secure his base. The queens, I think, thought, no, these are all Banes? 8 Banes? Wow. He's gonna send 8 Banelings. He's gonna drop them on top of the sentries, I assume. I think Elazer right now is just having a ball. He's having a lot of fun because everything is going right for him.
Yeah, and MaNa's not even going Phoenixes to try and clear up these overlords. He's straight into Fleet Beacon there, so he's gonna have nothing to attack these overlords other than those sentries and these pylons with overcharge.
He needs to overcharge real soon because Banelings are in these overlords and they're gonna be unloaded on top of the sentries. And I think that could very well be it. Almost nothing left for our Polish Protoss, who obviously knows that he is in a crazy amount of trouble.
2 Void Rays in production behind this. MaNa was trying to counterattack with a couple units across the map. I don't think he got much done here with this.
Yeah, the only downside for Elazer is that he only has 46 workers, but he has so much freedom that he can easily just go up to 70 drones now.
He needs to take a lot of gases, actually. He's only on 2 gases, and one of those he's only mining with 1 drone, so Elazer's gas income is actually really bad right now.
He's going to pick up these Banes and drop them on the mineral line. Meanwhile, the Lynx are going to get another cancel. I don't know why MaNa keeps trying when he obviously doesn't have the units to protect this Nexus. You can't. This is way too many Zerglings, way too many Lynx with +1. 1 Immortal and 1 Sentry is never going to keep this Nexus safe. And Todd, here are these Overlords once again.
Yeah, there's some overcharges available, but MaNa can't be bothered anymore. Elazer with a 3-0 victory here over MaNa in round number 1 of this winner's bracket. Very convincing performance here from him.
MaNa was like, I am not going to give you the satisfaction of dropping those Banelings on top of my last Sentry on my last probes. That ain't going to happen. Sometimes you just want to tap out, Todd. Rough series for MaNa. There's no other way to put it here. We picked this series because we generally thought it was going to be a very close one.
Yeah.
Looking at the round of 16, we didn't want to start off with a ZvZ because there is a chance that we were going to have a ZvZ regardless.
A chance, yeah.
Yeah, or there's quite a few options. Well, in the quarterfinals, there's at least one, if not more. No, actually, it can only be one. But we thought this was a good pick. Unfortunately, guys, it was a little more one-sided than we predicted. A very dominant performance by the man who was absolutely on fire in 2016, Elazer. As he moves on to the quarterfinals, he will face the winner of Nerd Show and Denver. You know, talking about a ZvZ, Todd, I wouldn't mind Nerd Show versus Elazer. Just because, I don't know, I feed off this national drama.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah, that just makes it a little...
As soon as there is like a Twitter drama, you refresh, or it's just in-game. I thought you were going to say after Nation Wars and like Nerd Show kept on dissing his own team and stuff.
That's right. I just want to see if there is a new king in town. If there is a new Polish king.
Like Nerd Show loses this one, but then they meet again in the grand finals. Sickest storyline.
Yeah, something like that. I'd be down for it. We don't really have that many other updates. You guys just saw the bracket. So I think for now, the best thing that we can do is head over to a very small break. And as soon as there's a match available in the quarterfinals, we'll let you guys know. Once again, there's plenty of other streams running as well. I mean, Johan went over it before. We've got Wardy, we've got Naruto, we've got Emil.
Yeah, Emil, Indy, Starladder, ESL TV Poland,
so
and many more.
Pretty much the entire tournament is being broadcasted now. We're going to head to a break. It could be a 5-minute break because obviously coming back if we have no game seems a little silly. But as soon as we can hop into a quarterfinals, we'll absolutely do that. So you're watching WCS EU Challenger Day 3.